Really? You seem it. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Gate, and I'm making another one of these videos, and this is the third video I've made in my series where I'm basically just ranting about another YouTuber. I don't like doing this sort of stuff, but I kind of feel like I have to do this about Dreamcast Guy, because, well, he doesn't seem to have any common sense when it comes to this topic. For those who don't know, Sega recently announced that they were buying Rovio Entertainment. I've made several videos on this topic on why it's a good deal, why I think it's a good deal, and whatnot, and Dreamcast Guy has basically made a video talking about this news, and it kind of shows to me how little knowledge he has and how little common sense he has when it comes to this sort of stuff. And obviously, in this video, we're going to go through his video, sort of tear it apart, talk about the reasons, and hopefully, if Dreamcast Guy, if you're watching this, mate, we're hoping, hopefully, I can educate you. I can give you some education about how this works and why this is happening. So let's get into this. Right. First point, Dreamcast Guy. Rovio Entertainment is a game publisher, not a studio. There's a difference. A publisher is the publishing company who takes the game, puts it on all stores, and brings in a lot of money. The developer is the company that actually makes the games. Now, people will argue, well, Rovio is a developer as well. Yeah, Rovio is a developer and publisher, but in this situation, they bought the publisher, right? They bought the publisher and the development teams within Rovio, because one of Rovio's studios is called Ruby Studio, which is a company they acquired who makes casual games. So if they were buying a developer, they would have bought the studio and not just and not the whole publisher. But I digress. It wasn't $1 billion. Right. Okay. Are you going to tell us the name of this game company that Sega's bought? Because not going to lie, mate, we're 20 seconds in and you can't even you haven't even said the word Rovio or Angry Birds yet, which is kind of annoying. Second of all, yeah, Sega bought a company. Why is that shocking to you? If you go on the stock market and look at SGAMY, which is Sega Sammy Corporation, they make $321 billion in revenue annually. They have a market cap of about $700 billion. Sega has money to burn thanks to its work on what's it? Its work on the pachinko machines. So yeah, you're surprised. Yeah, I was having a great day till I found your video, mate. But yeah, 30 seconds in the video, and he's still not even said the words Angry Birds or Rovio. Yes. Yeah, and a lot of it you get wrong, yeah. Okay, so yeah, we're a minute into the video, and he's just shown the Sega acquires Rovio agreement that was sent to Sega shareholders. Mate, how are you a minute into the video and you've only just brought this up? No, it's not. Why did you keep saying $1 billion? $776 million is not $1 billion. It's nowhere near $1 billion. Why do you keep saying they've bought them for $1 billion? They haven't bought them for $1 billion. Yeah. So you've just proved my point. It's not $1 billion. So stop saying it's $1 billion. You clickbait everyone by saying they wasted $1 billion. I don't think so. Yeah. Wow. Antidepressant joke. Wow, man. Wow. Hey, Dreamcast guy. I'm not sure if you know your audience, but word of advice: making fun of mental health and mental illness to an audience which is most probably predominantly young adults who care about this sort of stuff or care about these topics. probably isn't the best idea. You know, mocking people who have taken antidepressants. I take antidepressants, mate. So I find that quite rude and I find that quite blurred about to make that sort of joke. Yeah, because Sega and Rovio negotiated a price tag and negotiated a deal. It wasn't like the Sammy Sega purchase where Sammy, you know, did a hostile takeover of Sega in 2004. Yeah. Like, oh, okay. Hear me out on this, right? Why is he showing the Ubisoft news for this? Like, you're talking like DCG. I got something for you, mate. If you're talking about Sega and hostile takeovers and Sega, talk about Sega being hostile takeover in 2004. No one cares about Ubisoft, right? Why not talk about the Sega one? Because this was more relevant to the topic. Ubisoft, yeah, Ubisoft. Why? Why do they have a point? Sega fans are mad at anything that isn't a remake or a remaster of a classic Sega game or another Sonic the Hedgehog game. You know, Sega's got one of the biggest libraries of any game publisher. They under monetize it. They don't use it correctly in a lot of ways. They could easily have made another Crazy Taxi, another Nights in the Dreams, you know, but they just focus on like Yakuza, Sonic, and a bunch of Atlas IPs. Right, DCG. The reason Sega's bought Rovio and didn't make a high budget good game, as you call it, is just quite simply Sega wanted to get into mobile gaming. They saw this as an opportunity to get into mobile gaming in a way which could ease with a monetizable IP like Angry Birds, which sure it's not its prime anymore, but it's still a popular IP. And also, Rovio's got talent that have made games, other mobile games, for other things like there's games like Retry and obviously Ruby Studio and all this sort of stuff that have made games for Rovio. And also, you do got to understand that mobile gaming is like it's like the gaming industry which makes the most amount of money, right? So isn't it just like common sense why Sega would buy Rovio if it's such a cheap deal? Right, Sega's already said they're not doing them. Sega's already said they're not doing a Saturn Mini or Dreamcast Mini. So I think people can just stop asking for them now because not being funny, they've already said they're not doing them. I'll tell you who at Sega thought this was a good idea. The guys who want to make more money, monetize IPs better, and push into mobile gaming and the mobile gaming market, which is a hugely popular market, especially in countries like Korea and Japan. It's common sense. It's logical. Like I don't get how Dreamcast guy's not getting this. We're not even halfway through the video yet. And I already want to kill myself. Like the brain cells I'm losing from this guy. It's just so many. Does it? Okay. So if they made $317 million in profit last year and they can continue to grow that profit this year, then logically within about a year or two they would have paid Sega would have made a nice profit off of this deal with doing very minimal work, right? Like, come on, dude. Yeah, your point, because it is a big W. You know, Sega's getting one of the most well-known mobile game franchises of all time, being able to slap Sonic the Hedgehog on mobile, like, including him in the games, and obviously, you know, getting Rovio to make Hedgehog games as well. Sega's obviously got him a fairly small deal, because remember, right, the company that Rovio was talking to about getting acquired to originally was Playtika, who offered $800 million. Sega paid $24 million less than that. I see that as a win for Sega. 76 million, not 77. Yeah, yeah, 5 billion. No, they didn't, because Sega's not worth $5 billion. They're worth $4.85 billion. Rovio was bought for $7.76 million. Right? That's not $1 billion. You keep saying they're buying Rovio for $1 billion. It's not $1 billion. Dreamcast guy. No, considering Angry Birds is one of the most notable mobile game franchises of all time, it's still pretty popular to this day, despite Rovio's very bad practices, and it brings in money. You know, Sega's gonna break even within a year or two of this deal get closing. It's I don't know. Dreamcast guy is either an idiot or he's just blatantly ignoring the facts here. Oh my, yeah, well done. Uh, Dreamcast guy, question. How long did it take you to figure that one out? Because Sega isn't really big in mobile, so they bought a mobile game developer who's got a ton of and publisher who's got a ton of games that were made for mobile that Sega can easily publish or republish and makes money off of. Come on, dude. It's not that hard. Yeah, Sega wants to put games on phones. Every game company wants to put games on phones. There are like 5 billion smartphones on the planet. You haven't got to worry about really making a lot of money off of these games. 'Cause mobile games have smaller budgets anyway than AAA console and PC games. So it makes sense. You know, getting on board for mobile gaming now is huge, especially getting something like Rovio for so cheap when compared to competitors. Remember, King was like $6 billion when Activision bought them. Zynga was $12.7 billion last year when Take Two bought them. EA's bought studios for like 2.1 billion and dollars and whatever for mobile. Rovio is quite a cheap deal in comparison. No, Rovio wants to expand their IP outside of mobile games, not make console games. That's why I'm not sure if you noticed this, guys, but back in the 2010s, Rovio teamed up with Activision to publish the Angry Birds trilogy on Xbox 360, Wii U, and PS3 because they wanted to make they wanted to put Angry Birds on there to make a bit more money. Really? You're talking about Sega buying a mobile game publisher, and now you're talking about Sonic the Hedgehog. Right. Okay, I understand there's Sonic games on mobile, but like, come on, man. Can you just like keep focusing on what you're talking about? You've changed the subject again. Okay, Sonic Forces isn't even the latest Sonic game. It's Sonic Frontiers. So I don't know why you're bringing that up. because they want to make more money and get into the mobile gaming space. It's quite obvious. You said it yourself. Wow, DCG, you are so intelligent, mate. You have to go to school to figure that one out. Because I figured that one out quite quickly. I figured that one out quite easily. That's why I've made 3 videos on the topic so far. I also know that Sega's done this in the past with PC game publishers and developers, where they've bought PC game publishers and developers when they first try to break into the PC game market. It's not that uncommon. It's quite logical, to be honest. If you can't do it yourself, you hire or acquire someone who can do it for you. That's how it works. Yeah, yeah. Fantasy Online's pretty good. Well done. Like, you're telling me that a game company who's worth billions of dollars and has existed in the industry since the inception, really, doesn't want to expand their portfolio and doesn't want to expand their business and make more money. You're tripping, mate. You're tripping. Yeah, Sega makes a lot of money off of pachinko machines, so they have a lot of money. Yeah, because not being funny, Sega wants to keep growing and becoming a more profitable company. This is the way to do it. Yeah, you literally read out a comment which proves the point I've been saying in several videos, and yeah, anyone with common sense will realize if they look at the steel more critically, and they have a small, even the slightest understanding of investing or the gaming industry. Why is it weird? Activision got into mobile games with King. Take Two got into mobile games with Zynga. Tencent got into mobile games with Supercell. I don't see why Sega doing it is weird. I don't understand why you seem that's weird, especially when Nintendo and Sony have released games on mobile as well. So does Microsoft, but those three haven't had success on mobile, like companies like Rovio or Zepto Lab or King. Right, but you got to understand that's including a library of around 100 games. Plus plus some several talented studios, plus the Angry Birds IP. You've got to understand, Dreamcast Guy, that the whole reason that Sega bought them is to help expand into mobile and to help them take on the mobile gaming market, which is a market that most traditional console and PC publishers aren't major players in. Not really. You keep saying that's a huge amount of money. EA spent $2.1 billion on Glue Mobile, who was a mobile game publisher, right? Take Two spent 12.7 billion on Zynga. Activision spent 6.7 billion on King. Tencent spent 8.94 billion on Supercell. Tencent also spent $1 billion buying Sobo, who makes Subway Surfers. You seem to forget that this deal seems quite cheap in comparison to all these other deals that I've just mentioned, unless you didn't even know these deals happened. Like Dreamcast Guy, did you do any research on this topic before you making your video? Because if you look at the deals that have been made by other game publishers for mobile game studios, it's quite reasonable. In fact, I think this is actually quite a good, nice steal. I mean, I think the smallest deal I've seen from a mobile game studio so far has probably been Playdemic, who was bought by EA from Warner Bros. Games for about $800 million. Lower amount, really. It's actually quite a low amount when compared to other games developers that were sold over the past 10 years. But no. Explain how it'd be lower because Angry Birds isn't as profitable. Also, he does realize that like not all companies are valued by their earnings. As in, take Apple. Apple is worth nearly $3 trillion. Apple makes about $100 billion per quarter, so they make about $400 billion a year. So why are they worth $2 trillion if they make $400 billion a year? Because of how big they are over the long term. That's why. Why? Why do you think they overpaid? Like, can you explain why they overpaid? Because they have gotten like 100+ games, bunch of talented developers, bunch of talented studios, Rovio's brands, Rovio's merchandise, the ability to make like merchandise on Angry Birds and all this sort of stuff, tie-in stuff, the ability to port Sega games to mobile as well, and make new IPs. I don't see why Dreamcast Guy doesn't understand this. I think you're an idiot. What's confusing about this? Like, I'm autistic. I'm supposed to be stupid, and I can even see the logic here. I'm supposed to have a lower IQ than most people in my industries and whatnot. I can see the thing here. I can see why Sony or Sega would do such a deal. How? I'd encourage Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo to do the same if they want to keep up, because console and PC markets aren't as big as mobile. Mobile is a huge market. Billions of people have mobile phones. It's an easy way to make money. Yeah. No, I'll do you a favor. Nope. Yeah, dude. I don't care. It's not a dead game. It's still quite a popular franchise. It's just you can't seem to understand why Sega would want to get into mobile gaming, because well, mobile gaming is where the money's at. For those who don't know, Dreamcast Guy seems to be one of these YouTubers who says random stuff and just can't back up what he's saying. So he just says, "Oh, it's just the facts." Well, where are the facts? Because if anyone looks at this sort of common sense and common, intelligence, then they would realize, well, mobile gaming's the biggest market in gaming. Rovio's got some popular games in mobile. Sega buying Rovio will lead to Sega having a bigger market share in mobile and making more money in the long term. It makes sense. Dreamcast Guy, you're confused because you have such a small brain capacity. You can't understand why a company that's traditionally been a console manufacturer and console game publisher wants to push into mobile. And to be honest, I can see why. You just don't seem to want to understand gaming. You want to have your opinion and believe that your opinion is right, but it's not. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe, like, share, comment. Check out my videos on the Sega Rovio deal, explaining why they make sense, explaining why Sega is in the right to do this. Because I'll be honest, this dude's he's clearly got problems. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts. I've been EK. I'm signing out. Peace.